Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Last Place Fantasy Football Podcast on the beautiful Week 2 Sunday morning. I am one of your co hosts, Josh, and today we're going to be talking about news and injuries, all the last minute updates for y'all to have the best Week 2 as you can. First we're going to go through the news, and then we'll kind of go through the litany of injuries that we gotta talk about because there are quite a few. I don't know if y'all saw the Minnesota and Philly game Thursday night. Um, if you want my quick review on it, I really thought, if anything, this showed that Minnesota is a way better team than last year. But and I think I will bring this up in our next episode. They have to fix the Minnesota has to fix the run game. It's getting to the point where I think no matter how many yards Justin Jefferson gets, and I think that's been the game plan defenses have been going with is we're going to let Justin Jefferson get his as long as no one else can beat us. We're good. On the Philly side of things, they're very rusty still, and they're kind of hiccuping. I think Swift had a great game where you're going, wow, where was this in Detroit? And honestly, the change of scenery was probably what was needed for him. But let's go through some of the big news. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers, J.K. Dobbins are probably like two biggest ones just being out for the year. And as far as like any news outside of injuries, not much after that. So for the injuries, here's are a few that you have to be very, very, very aware of. Mark Andrews, full participant Friday. Expect him to play. However, though, and this is a big key for the Ravens to be careful of, especially with the running backs, whether you're going with Gus Edwards or Justice Hill. Tyler Linderbaum, the center, Ronnie Stanley, the offensive tackle, both got hurt late in the game against Houston. Both are out versus Cincy, which is not good considering Cincy has one of the best D tackles in the game in DJ Reader, and then Trey Henderson, Sam Hubbard on the outside, Miles Murphy too. Let's see who else here. DJ Chark was a full participant Saturday. Looks like he's going to be good to go versus New Orleans. Now, on the other side, if you're happy about Chris Olave like I am, J.C. Horn was, is probably going to have the assignment on him. He has had a hamstring issue, so we'll see what happens there. But he was taken off the injury report on Saturday, so he seems to be good to go. Going back to not the Bengals, but the Browns here, kind of a late addition, and I am pretty certain he will not play because he was a limited practice on Saturday. Wide receiver Amari Cooper, listed as questionable. If you're limited during a walkthrough, I don't think you're playing, and I know ESPN has already reflected that. So I would treat him as if he's not playing. Find your backup. Either Elijah Moore is going to have a lot of targets in this game, or it's going to be spread out more. Even Nick Chubb, maybe. Um, Personally, any option post Amari Cooper, I wouldn't be super thrilled about, but you could go in that direction. Um, let's see what else do we have here. Brandon Cooks, probably we're already expecting the MCL, the knee injury. He's been a DMP all week. I don't expect him to play, which means it's going to be CD versus the world, pretty much. Um, let's talk about Green Bay because this is where things get interesting. I think I'm going to give a little bit more info on here. So so basically, according to a lot of the injury reports and a lot of the beat reporters saying, Aaron Jones and Christian Watson are not playing today. Christian Watson's still dealing with the hamstring issue. Aaron Jones had a hamstring issue during the game last week. So, um, yeah. So Romeo Dobbs, pretty excited about that, and going up against Atlanta, most likely he gets the AJ Terrell matchup, but I think more importantly, this is where Luke Musgrave could be a very interesting tight end at. Largely because, I mean, the targets are vacated, especially from Aaron Jones and Christian Watson. And he was actually getting work even with Aaron Jones on the field. So now you have two major players off. I think he is a very sneaky tight end ad if you want to start him this week. But let me know what you guys feel about Christian Watson because this is second week of the hamstring. I'm personally nervous that this is going to continue. Now, I think Green Bay's played smart where he's not played, and so there's no chance of it making it worse. But I will tell you, in the league, I do have Christian Watson. And I'm already 0-1. Solid chance I'm going to be 0-2 this week. And at that point, what do you do? Obviously, you don't want to make a rash decision, but Christian Watson might be able to trade based on the ceiling on his ceiling because you haven't seen him play yet. And I mean, there's a few options as far as the wide receiver position goes that you can go for, but he would be an early trade high or even just trade candidate for me, just because we haven't seen him play yet, and we're going to get to a point where it's like, is the train going to leave without him? As far as Aaron Jones is concerned, obviously let him rest this week, but it's not like AJ Dillon's going to have the same kind of impact as Aaron Jones will have. Let's see. Going through. Oh, here's our big one. Travis Kelce, most likely playing against Jacksonville. Everyone who went high on Travis Kelce, we are thinking everyone, anything and everyone, just that he is back playing. Expect him to get a bunch of targets. He's still the number one option in this offense. You're going to be good to go. Um, let's see. Jakobi Meyers, he was probably one of your flex options. He's already been out. That man had a nasty concussion, and we hope he'll be coming back better. Here's the last kind of big one. So Austin Ekeler, ankle injury. He is 100% sure going to be out against Tennessee. Now, if you're like me, who also has Austin Ekeler, not great, not feeling great, but this is probably for the best. I'll take 1 week of Austin Ekeler not being in my lineup in order for him to heal up, be ready to go. Now, this game is against Tennessee, so that probably means Joshua Kelly's getting a lot of the work. I expect this to be a return to form as far as for Derrick Henry is concerned because I think Tennessee's game plan is to keep Justin Herbert off the field as much as possible. And on top of that, Tennessee is actually schematically and personnel wise a very good matchup for the Chargers. The Chargers do not really have anyone big up the middle, and they have a lot of speed, but as far as being able to kind of go big and stop the run, they just historically, and this is the same makeup of teams past, I don't think they're very good at it. And that's just kind of not their style, especially in the AFC West, where you have Mahomes essentially in that division. So look for Derrick Henry to have a big game today. Unfortunately, week 1, diamond in the rough, Puka Nacua was limited on a Friday. That's the latest report I got from him. Questionable versus San Francisco. I wouldn't play him, not only just because obliques can be tricky, but also you're going up against San Francisco. I'm not even messing with that matchup, to be honest with you. Also looks like we're getting Devin Achane back for the Dolphins. And I don't think he'll be a huge impact, but he'll be a spellback for Jeff and for I think a lot of what Salvin Ahmed was doing. I think that's where you might see Devin Achane, but they're going up against New England, and so best believe Belichick's going to throw something weird in this game. That's for sure. Let's see. Um, it's also looking like, speaking of that Miami game, Devontae Parker, I don't believe is going to be playing, but I don't think that's a player you have to worry about when it comes to fantasy. Um, it does look like Kendre Miller might be back. No one really knows. He's been limited all week going up against Carolina. Now, the reason why I find this interesting is because you were really hoping Kendre Miller either becomes a future for the Saints running back position and can take advantage of the 3 games. If he misses this game, it's not going to look like a good season. Largely because you're running out of 3 games until Kamara takes everything over. And then you're kind of the running back that's going to keep things moving is Jamal Williams still. So Kendre Miller, unfortunately, is just running out of time. Let's see. As far as like big injuries, I think that's it. We already knew Deontay Johnson was going to be out. We already know kind of the issues. Charles Cross is already out, so your top left tackle for the Seahawks is out, because James Houston and Josh Pascal are on that side. And Seattle just had major issues last week on the offensive line. Um, as far as everything is concerned, I think with injuries this week, you have your kind of few heavy hitters. So obviously Kelsey coming back, Eckler being out, Watts being out, Aaron Jones being out. Those are the ones you kind of have to deal with. Hopefully you kind of drafted well for your bench. Really, it's hard to kind of gauge waiver wire pickups like so early into the year. And a lot of times it's because players are going to be dropped, added, and so on and so forth. And we haven't really been able to get that pattern yet. But overall, I would say kind of trust your depth in a lot of these situations. Like, uh, unless you have multiple injuries, then in that case, you're with me. I'm so sorry for you. We'll make it through and we'll cry together. But for the most part, I would say for this week, for a lot of you guys, trust your depth. Just kind of go for it. Gauge your team. And the reason why I would say gauge your, let's say in this case, is because we're going to start getting into, you might want to start making a few moves. Like, there's a few leagues I'm in where I'm realizing that I have a lot of good, consistent players, but I do need a home run hitter. So who am I going to trade for that? Who am I willing to give up? And I think use week 2 just to see who do you think is going to be the best person to get a trade done, so you are ready for whatever comes in, during fantasy playoffs, weeks 15 through 17. Well, so with all that being said, it's about 10:07 Central Time as I am recording this. I'll go look up Sleeper just to make sure we don't have anything else that we have to talk about. But in the meantime, I hope you're all enjoying what we are putting out for you for the Last Place Fantasy Football podcast. No, we started doing our big questions. We started doing our dream lineups again. I hope you all enjoying that. Please give us a like and a follow and even comment. Like, we would love to hear what you guys think about these topics and just your opinion on them. We just love hearing different sides of football. I mean, football is kind of like art. It can be very subjective to where they're very subjective. There's a few things objective, but for the most part, there's always going to be a different perspective to be viewed. And so that's kind of the greatness of football. And based on this, I do not have much more. Just a lot of beat reporters talking about certain player roles. So there is one that we do have we have to talk about this, and this will be my last one. This is according to Tom Pelissero. Bears running back Roschon Johnson is expected to have a bigger workload today, with D'Onta Foreman expected to be a healthy scratch. By all means, if Roschon is on your waivers, pick him up now. You'll thank me later. He is going to end up being the starting running back for the Chicago Bears. I'll add that to the hot take list. I'm almost pretty sure of that. He just has like the best like combo of size, speed, power, and even like catching ability coming out of the backfield. And I think that's even better than Herbert and D'Onta Foreman. Roschon Johnson either is going to be your best trade for or waiver wire pickup. So get on that as soon as possible. Well, with that, that's all I got for you today. So thank you again for listening to me for week 2 news and injuries. And we will see y'all on Wednesday going over how the week went.